Unexpected inheritance. Jake Morrison sighed as he stared at the eviction notice taped to his apartment door. Another setback in a long string of disappointments. At 28, he'd hoped to be a successful artist by now, his paintings hanging in galleries across New York City. Instead, he was barely scraping by, working as a barista to pay for art supplies and ramen noodles. Running a hand through his disheveled brown hair, Jake unlocked the door and shuffled inside. His tiny studio apartment was a chaotic mess of half-finished canvases, paint-splattered tarps, and empty coffee cups. He tossed his keys onto a cluttered table, knocking over a stack of unopened bills. "Great," he muttered, bending to gather the scattered envelopes. As he shuffled through them, a cream-colored envelope with elegant script caught his eye. Curious, he tore it open and unfolded the letter inside. "Dear Mr. Morrison, we regret to inform you of the passing of your great-uncle, Artemis J. Morrison. In accordance with his final wishes, you have been named the sole beneficiary of his estate. Your presence is required at our offices to discuss the details of your inheritance. Sincerely, Blackwood and Stern, attorneys at law." Jake read the letter twice, his mind reeling. He'd never even heard of this great-uncle, let alone expected to inherit anything from him. For a moment, hope flickered in his chest. Could this be the break he'd been waiting for? The next morning, Jake found himself standing outside an imposing granite building in downtown Manhattan. Blackwood and Stern occupied the entire top floor, their name etched in gold on the frosted glass doors. Taking a deep breath, he stepped inside. A receptionist with a severe bun and sharply arched eyebrows looked up as he approached. "May I help you?" "I'm Jake Morrison. I have an appointment about an inheritance." Her eyes widened almost imperceptibly. "Of course, Mr. Morrison. Please follow me." Jake was led down a hushed hallway lined with oil paintings and antique furniture. They stopped before an intricately carved wooden door. The receptionist knocked twice before opening it. "Mr. Morrison to see you, sir." An elderly man with a shock of white hair rose from behind a massive desk. "Ah, young Mr. Morrison, please come in." As Jake entered, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The office seemed to shimmer at the edges, like a mirage in the desert. He blinked, and everything snapped back into focus. "I'm Theodore Blackwood," the old man said, extending a hand. His grip was surprisingly strong. "Please have a seat. We have much to discuss." Jake sank into a plush leather chair, his palms sweating. "I have to admit, I'm a little confused. I didn't even know I had a great-uncle Artemis." Blackwood's bushy eyebrows rose. "No, well, that's not entirely surprising. Artemis was something of a recluse in his later years, but he kept tabs on the family, especially you." "Me? Why?" The lawyer leaned back, steepling his fingers. "Artemis saw something of himself in you, Jake. A kindred spirit, if you will. That's why he chose you as his heir." Jake's heart raced. "So what exactly am I inheriting? Money? Property?" Blackwood chuckled. "Oh my boy, you're inheriting far more than that. You're inheriting a legacy." With a flourish, he produced a small metallic cube from his desk drawer. It gleamed under the office lights, covered in intricate swirling patterns. "This is the key to your inheritance, Jake. Once activated, it will transport you to the Morrison estate." Jake stared at the cube, then back at Blackwood. "Transport? What are you talking about?" The lawyer's eyes twinkled. "Tell me, Jake, do you believe in life beyond Earth?" A chill ran down Jake's spine. "You can't be serious." "Oh, but I am. Your great-uncle Artemis was more than just a recluse. He was a pioneer in interstellar relations and trade. And now you're about to step into his shoes." Jake jumped to his feet. "This is insane. Is this some kind of joke?" Blackwood remained calm. "I assure you, it's not. I know this is a lot to take in, but I need you to listen carefully. By accepting this inheritance, you're not just gaining wealth beyond your wildest dreams. You're also taking on a great responsibility. He pushed the cube across the desk. "This'll take you to Zephyria, where the bulk of your uncle's operations are based. There, you'll meet your new wife." Jake's jaw dropped. "My what?" "Part of your inheritance includes an arranged marriage to a Zephyrian noble. It's a political union designed to strengthen the ties between our worlds." Jake collapsed back into the chair, his mind spinning. This couldn't be real. And yet, as he looked at the strange cube, a part of him thrilled at the possibility. A chance to escape his humdrum life, to see the stars, to make a difference on a cosmic scale. Blackwood leaned forward, his voice gentle. "I know this is overwhelming, Jake, but your uncle believed in you. He saw your potential, even if you don't see it yourself. This is your chance to become something greater." Jake took a shaky breath, his eyes fixed on the cube. Everything he knew, everything he'd ever dreamed of, was about to change. With trembling fingers, he reached out and grasped the cool metal. "What do I need to do?" Blackwood smiled. "Just say yes, my boy. Say yes, and embrace your destiny." Jake closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the universe pressing down on him. In that moment, he saw two paths stretching before him. One led back to his tiny apartment, to struggle and obscurity. The other led to the stars, to adventure and purpose. He opened his eyes, determination setting his jaw. "Yes," he said firmly, "I accept." The cube in his hand began to hum, the patterns swirling faster and faster. A bright light engulfed Jake, and he felt the world dissolve around him. As the lawyer's office faded away, Jake Morrison took his first step into a larger universe, ready to claim his unexpected inheritance and face whatever challenges awaited him among the stars. Journey to the stars. The world rematerialized around Jake in a dizzying swirl of light and color. He stumbled, his legs wobbly, and found himself in what appeared to be the lobby of futuristic spaceport. Sleek, curved walls gleamed with an iridescent sheen, and holographic displays flickered with information in languages he couldn't comprehend. "Mr. Morrison?" A melodious voice caught his attention. Jake turned to see a tall, willowy being approach. Its skin was a pale lavender, with delicate patterns swirling across its surface. Large, almond-shaped eyes regarded him with curiosity. "I am Zalin, your guide. Welcome to the Zephyrian Interstellar Terminal." Jake's mouth opened and closed several times before he found his voice. Thanks." He glanced around, still struggling to process his surroundings. "So this is real. I'm actually on another planet." Zolan's expression shifted in what Jake assumed was the alien equivalent of a smile. "Not quite yet, Mr. Morrison. We are currently in a transitional space station orbiting Earth. Your journey to Zephyria begins shortly." As if on cue, a low rumble filled the air, and Jake felt a slight shift in gravity. Through a massive view screen behind Zolan, he watched in awe as the blue marble of Earth slowly receded. "This is insane," Jake muttered, running a hand through his hair. "Yesterday I was worried about making rent, and now I'm leaving Earth." Zolan placed a comforting hand on Jake's shoulder. "I understand this is overwhelming. Perhaps some information will help ground you. Shall we proceed to your quarters? We have much to discuss during our journey." Jake nodded numbly, following Zolan through corridors that seemed to shift and adapt as they walked. They entered a room that put any five-star hotel suite to shame. One wall was entirely transparent, offering a breathtaking view of the star-studded cosmos. "Please, make yourself comfortable," Zolan said, gesturing to a set of contoured chairs that looked more like living organisms than furniture. "Would you like a refreshment? Our synthesizers can recreate any Earth beverage." Coffee, black," Jake said, sinking into one of the chairs. To his surprise, it molded perfectly to his body, providing unparalleled comfort. A small panel in the wall slid open, and a steaming mug of coffee floated towards him on what seemed to be a cushion of air. Jake took it gratefully, the familiar aroma helping to calm his frayed nerves. "Now then," Zolan began, settling into a chair opposite Jake. I'm sure you have many questions. Where shall we begin? Jake took a deep breath. Okay, let's start with the basics. Who exactly was my great-uncle, and how did he end up here? He gestured vaguely at their surroundings. Zalin's eyes sparkled with what Jake interpreted as admiration. Ah, Artemis Morrison, a true visionary. He was among the first humans to make contact with Zephyrian explorers nearly 5 decades ago. While most of your world's governments reacted with fear and suspicion, Artemis saw an opportunity for cooperation and growth. As Zalin spoke, holographic images appeared in the air between them, showing a younger version of the man Jake had seen in the lawyer's office photo. The images depicted Artemis shaking hands, or appendages, with various alien beings, standing before strange landscapes, and addressing what appeared to be interstellar councils. Your uncle became a bridge between our worlds, Zalin continued. He established trade routes, negotiated treaties, and founded the Cosmic Concordance Corporation, the interstellar trading company you've now inherited. Jake's head spun with the implications. And no one on Earth knows about this. A select few do, mostly high-ranking government officials and a handful of scientists. Your planet is still considered too volatile for full disclosure, but that may change with your help. My help? Jake laughed nervously. I'm just an artist. I don't know the first thing about running a company, let alone an interstellar one. Zalin leaned forward, fixing Jake with an intense gaze. Your uncle didn't choose you for your business acumen, Mr. Morrison. He chose you for your creativity, your ability to see the world, the universe, differently. In his final years, Artemis often spoke of the need for fresh perspectives, for someone who could bridge the gap between human ingenuity and alien technology. Jake stood, pacing before the cosmic vista. And the arranged marriage? How does that fit into all this? Ah, yes, your betrothed is Thyra Voss, daughter of one of Zephyria's most influential noble houses. The union was proposed as a way to strengthen ties between our peoples and secure the future of the Cosmic Concordance. But I've never even met her. How can I be expected to marry someone I don't know, let alone an alien? Zalin rose, moving to stand beside Jake. Marriage customs vary greatly across the galaxy, Mr. Morrison. On Zephyria, political unions are common and respected. However, I assure you that Axira is entering into this arrangement of her own free will. She is intrigued by the idea of a human partner. Jake turned to face his alien guide. And what if I refuse? What if I decide this is all too much and want to go back to Earth? For the first time, Zalin's serene demeanor faltered. That would be most unfortunate. Your uncle's enemies, those who oppose cooperation between our worlds, have been held at bay by the strength of the Morrison name and the political alliances he forged. If you were to reject your inheritance, it could destabilize the delicate balance we've achieved. The weight of responsibility settled on Jake's shoulders like a physical burden. He thought of his life on Earth, the struggling artist, living paycheck to paycheck, his dreams slowly fading. Then he looked out at the stars, each one a potential adventure, a chance to make a real difference. I don't have much of a choice, do I? Jake said softly. Zalin placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. There is always a choice, Mr. Morrison, but great destinies often come disguised as impossible challenges. Your uncle believed you had the strength to face this one. Jake took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. All right then, I guess I'd better start learning. Tell me everything I need to know about Zephyria, the company, and my future wife. As the starship hurtled through the cosmos, Jake immersed himself in a crash course on interstellar politics, alien cultures, and the intricacies of running a multi-planet corporation. Holograms filled the room, displaying star charts, trade agreements, and dossiers on key figures he'd need to know. Hours blended into days as Jake absorbed more information than he thought possible. He learned of the various alien races that made up the galactic community, each with their own unique biologies, cultures, and technologies. He studied the history of human-Zephyrian relations, marveling at how his uncle had shaped the course of secret interstellar diplomacy. As they approached Zephyria, Zalin brought up a holographic image of a striking alien woman. Her skin was a deep blue, with patterns of bioluminescent markings that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Iridescent scales covered her temples and ran down her neck, catching the light like tiny prisms. Her eyes, a swirling mix of silver and violet, gazed out of the image with an intensity that made Jake's breath catch. "This is Syra Voss, your betrothed," Zalin said softly. Jake stared at the image, a mix of emotions swirling in his chest: fear, curiosity, and something he couldn't quite name. "She's beautiful," he managed to say. Zalin nodded approvingly. "Flora is known for her intelligence and diplomatic skills. She has been instrumental in maintaining peace between some of our more volatile trading partners." As Jake continued to gaze at Syra's image, a notification chimed softly. Zalin's expression brightened. "Ah, perfect timing. We're beginning our approach to Zephyria. Would you care to watch our descent from the observation deck?" Jake nodded eagerly, following Zalin to a large, dome-shaped room at the top of the ship. As they entered, the dome turned transparent, offering a panoramic view of space. A planet swam into view, growing larger with each passing moment. Zephyria was a breathtaking sight, swirling bands of blue, green, and purple wrapped around its surface, punctuated by glittering points of light that Jake realized must be cities. As they breached the atmosphere, Jake gasped. Towering spires of crystal and metal reached towards the sky, connected by graceful arches that defied Earth's laws of physics. Flying vehicles zipped between the structures in intricate, dance-like patterns, and everywhere there was light, not harsh or artificial, but a soft, omnipresent glow that seemed to emanate from the very air itself. "Welcome to Zephyria, Mr. Morrison," Zalin said, pride evident in their voice. "Your new home." The ship glided towards a landing platform extending from one of the tallest structures. As they touched down, Jake saw a group of figures waiting to greet them. His heart raced as he recognized one of them from the holographic image. Syra Voss stood at the forefront, her luminescent patterns pulsing in what Jake somehow knew was a gesture of welcome. Their eyes met through the view screen, and in that moment, Jake felt the last of his doubts fade away. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever cosmic intrigues or interstellar crises he might face, Jake knew that this was where he was meant to be. With a deep breath, he straightened his shoulders and prepared to step out into his new life among the stars. Culture shock. The moment Jake stepped off the ship, his senses were overwhelmed. The air on Zephyria was different, crisp and sweet, with an undercurrent of something he couldn't quite place. Gravity felt slightly off, making each step feel like a small leap, but it was the visual spectacle that truly took his breath away. Up close, the crystal spires seemed alive, pulsing with an inner light that shifted in mesmerizing patterns. The sky above was a tapestry of soft purples and blues, punctuated by two moons, one a pale green, the other a burnished gold. Flying vehicles of all shapes and sizes wove between the buildings in a breathtaking aerial ballet. "Magnificent, isn't it?" A melodious voice drew Jake's attention back to the welcoming party. Syra Voss stood before him, even more striking in person than in her hologram. Her bioluminescent patterns rippled in what Jake hoped was a friendly greeting. "It's incredible," Jake managed, suddenly acutely aware of how out of place he must look in his Earth clothes. "I'm Jake Morrison. It's nice to meet you." Katara's lips curved in what he assumed was a smile. "The pleasure is mine, Jake Morrison. Welcome to Zephyria." She extended a hand, similar to a human's, but with an extra joint in each finger, in a gesture that was both alien and familiar. Jake took her hand, marveling at the smooth, cool texture of her skin. A small jolt, like static electricity but somehow more, passed between them at the contact. Katara's eyes widened slightly, suggesting she'd have felt it too. "Come," she said, recovering quickly. "There is much to show you, and I'm sure you have many questions." As they moved through the city, Jake felt like Alice stepping through the looking glass. Everything was familiar enough to be recognizable, yet different enough to be disconcerting. What he had thought were roads were actually anti-gravity lanes, with vehicles and even pedestrians gliding effortlessly above the ground. This is the central nexus, Axira explained as they entered a vast open plaza. The heart of our government and the headquarters of the Cosmic Concordance Corporation. Jake gaped at the structure before them. It was a massive floating sphere, its surface a constantly shifting mosaic of light and color. Streams of data flowed visibly across its exterior, while flying platforms ferried people to and from various entry points. "That's where I'll be working," Jake asked, a mix of awe and trepidation in his voice. Sura nodded. "Indeed, but don't worry, you won't be thrown to the Vasporites immediately. You have much to learn before you take on your full responsibilities." As if on cue, a holographic display materialized before them, showing a schedule packed with lessons on everything from Zephyrian etiquette to interstellar economics. "We've prepared an intensive orientation program for you," Axira continued. "I'll be overseeing your education personally, along with a team of experts in various fields." Jake's head spun as he scanned the schedule. "This is a lot. I'm not sure I'm cut out for all this. I mean, yesterday I was just a struggling artist, and now I'm supposed to run an interstellar corporation." Axira's expression softened. "Your uncle spoke often of your potential, Jake. He saw in you a creativity and adaptability that he believed would be crucial in the coming years. The galaxy is changing, and we need fresh perspectives to navigate the challenges ahead." As they continued their tour, Jake was introduced to a dizzying array of alien species, each more fantastical than the last. There were the Volthorians, floating gas-based entities that communicated through color shifts and pheromones. The Crix, insectoid beings with a hive mind and unparalleled skill in quantum computing. And the Navarans, shapeshifters, who served as the galaxy's premier diplomats and negotiators. By the time they reached Jake's new living quarters, a spacious apartment with views that would make New York penthouses weep with envy, his mind was reeling from information overload. "I know this is overwhelming," Axira said, her tone gentle. "But remember, you're not alone in this. I and the entire Cosmic Concordance team are here to support you." Jake collapsed onto a chair that molded perfectly to his body. "Thanks. I appreciate that. It's just, how am I supposed to fit in here? I feel like a caveman who's been dropped into the middle of Silicon Valley." Farah tilted her head, her bioluminescent patterns shifting in what Jake was beginning to recognize as amusement. An apt analogy. But consider this, your caveman perspective might be exactly what we need. Fresh eyes can often see solutions that others miss. She gestured, and a holographic image of Earth appeared between them. "Your planet is unique in the galaxy, Jake. The diversity of your cultures, the speed of your technological advancement, your ability to adapt to rapidly changing circumstances, these are rare and valuable traits. It's why your uncle worked so hard to forge this alliance." Jake leaned forward, studying the image of his home world. It looked so small and fragile from this perspective. So no pressure or anything, right? Just the fate of interstellar relations resting on my shoulders. Sarah laughed, a sound like chiming crystals. "Perhaps we should start with something simpler. Would you like to see your new studio?" Jake's eyes lit up. "Studio? You mean I can still paint?" "Of course. Artemis was insistent that you have space to continue your art. He believed it was integral to who you are." She led him to another room, and Jake gasped. It was a painter's dream, spacious, with perfect lighting and views of the alien cityscape. Easels of various sizes stood ready, and there was an array of paints and tools, some familiar, others utterly alien. "I took the liberty of having some Earth supplies imported," Axira said, "but I thought you might also like to experiment with Zephyrian artistic methods." Jake picked up what looked like a cross between a paintbrush and a living organism. It pulsed slightly in his hand, almost eagerly. "This is, thank you, really." Solaris patterns glowed warmly. Art is a universal language, Jake. Perhaps it can be a bridge between our worlds. As Jake surveyed the studio, ideas already forming in his mind, a chime sounded. Vaxura's expression turned serious. Ah, it's time. The Galactic Council is assembled and waiting to meet you. Jake's newfound enthusiasm faltered. The Galactic Council. Now. But I'm not prepared. I don't know what to say or how to act or... the reassuring hand on his arm. Just be yourself, Jake. That's why you're here. Ready? Jake took a deep breath, looking around at the alien world he now called home. He thought of Earth, of his uncle's legacy, of the challenges and wonders that lay ahead. Squaring his shoulders, he nodded. As I'll ever be, let's do this. Together, they stepped onto a hovering platform that whisked them towards the central nexus. As they approached the massive floating sphere, its surface rippled and parted, revealing a cavernous chamber within. Jake's heart raced as they entered. The room was filled with beings of all shapes, sizes, and compositions. Some were vaguely humanoid, others defied description. All eyes, or sensory organs, turned to him as he and Tyra glided to the center of the chamber. A booming voice, seemingly coming from everywhere at once, announced, presenting Jake Morrison of Earth, heir to Artemis Morrison and new CEO of the Cosmic Concordance Corporation. In that moment, facing the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds, Jake realized that his life would never be the same. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever cosmic intrigues or interstellar crises he might face, this was his new reality. With a mixture of terror and exhilaration, Jake stepped forward to address the Galactic Council, ready to begin his journey as a bridge between Earth and the stars. Corporate intrigue. Weeks blurred into months as Jake immersed himself in his new life on Zephyria. His days were filled with intensive lessons on interstellar politics, alien cultures, and the intricacies of running the Cosmic Concordance Corporation. Nights were spent in his studio, where he poured his experiences onto canvas, creating vivid, otherworldly pieces that merged human perspective with alien landscapes. As Jake grew more comfortable in his role, he began to notice subtle undercurrents of tension in the company. Whispered conversations that stopped when he entered a room, sideways glances from alien colleagues, and an overall sense of unease permeated the central nexus. One evening, as Jake was reviewing trade agreements in his office, a room with walls that doubled as interactive displays, Kazura entered, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with what he now recognized as concern. "Jake, we need to talk," she said, her voice low. "Somewhere private." Intrigued and slightly worried, Jake followed her to a secluded garden terrace high above the city. Bioluminescent plants cast a soft, ethereal glow over the area, and a force field kept the winter chill at bay. "What's going on, Zara?" Jake asked once they were alone. Zara's patterns flickered anxiously. "I've uncovered some discrepancies in our financial records. Shipments going missing, funds being redirected to shell companies. I think someone is sabotaging the Cosmic Concordance from within." Jake's mind raced. "Do you have any idea who's behind it?" "Not yet, but I have my suspicions. There's a faction within the Galactic Council that's always been opposed to closed relations with Earth. They see humans as too unpredictable, too dangerous to be fully integrated into galactic society. And they go as far as sabotaging the company to prove their point," Jake asked, incredulous. Kaxira nodded grimly. "The Cosmic Concordance isn't just a corporation, Jake. It's the linchpin of human-alien relations. If it fails, it could set back interstellar cooperation by decades." Jake ran a hand through his hair, a habit he'd retained from his Earth days. "Okay, so what do we do? Go to the authorities?" "It's not that simple. We don't know how high this conspiracy goes. If we make accusations without concrete proof, it could backfire spectacularly." Jake paced the terrace, his mind working overtime. Then an idea struck him. "Wait a second. Remember that Crick's algorithm I've been studying? The one used for pattern recognition in quantum fluctuations. Caxiller's eyes widened. You think we could adapt it to analyze our financial records? Exactly. If there's a pattern to these discrepancies, the algorithm should be able to find it. And since it's not typically used for financial analysis, whoever's behind this won't be expecting it. A slow smile spread across Thyra's face, her patterns glowing with admiration. This is why your uncle chose you, Jake. You see connections others miss. Over the next few weeks, Jake and Thyra worked tirelessly, adapting the Crix algorithm to sift through years of financial data. They worked in secret, trusting only a small team of loyal employees. Jake's artistic skills came in handy as he designed visual representations of the data, allowing them to see patterns that might have been missed in raw numbers. Late one night, as they pored over holographic displays in Jake's office, the algorithm flagged a series of transactions. Jake leaned in, his eyes widening as he traced the flow of funds. Caxilla, look at this. These shell companies, they all lead back to a holding corporation on Navarra. Caxilla's patterns pulsed with shock. Navarra? But that's... Oh no. What? What is it? The Navarran High Commissioner, Zexley Vaughn, he's been one of the loudest voices against human integration in the Galactic Council, and he's also the head of the Oversight Committee for the Cosmic Concordance. Jake finished, the pieces falling into place. They looked at each other, the weight of their discovery settling over them. If a high-ranking Galactic Council member was indeed behind the sabotage, the implications were staggering. We need proof, Jake said, determination setting in. Concrete, irrefutable evidence that even the Council can't ignore. Caxilla nodded. I have an idea, but it's risky. The Navarrans are hosting a gala next week to celebrate the anniversary of their joining the Galactic Alliance. All the major players will be there, including Vaughn. Jake caught on quickly. And if we can access his personal comm device, we might be able to find the smoking gun we need. The plan they concocted was daring, bordering on reckless. Jake would attend the gala as the face of the Cosmic Concordance, keeping Vaughn distracted. Meanwhile, Caxilla would use her shape-shifting abilities, a trait she'd inherited from her Navarran grandmother, to infiltrate Vaughn's private quarters and access his personal files. As the night of the gala arrived, Jake found himself standing before a mirror, adjusting the collar of his formal attire, a shimmering garment that seemed to change color with his movements. Thyra entered, her own form already beginning to shift into a nondescript Navarran servant. Remember, she said, her voice deepening as her transformation progressed, keep Vaughn engaged. The longer you can hold his attention, the better chance I have of finding what we need. Jake nodded, trying to quell the butterflies in his stomach. Be careful in there. If you're caught. Caxilla's partially transformed face softened. She reached out, squeezing his hand gently. I will be. You be careful too. Vaughn is as dangerous as he is cunning. As they made their way to the gala, held in a floating palace that put even Zephyria's grandest structures to shame, Jake couldn't help but marvel at how far he'd come. From a struggling artist in New York to a key player in an interstellar corporate espionage plot, life had certainly taken an unexpected turn. The gala was a whirlwind of alien dignitaries, exotic delicacies, and music that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Jake circulated the room, shaking hands, and various other appendages, making small talk and keeping one eye out for his target. He spotted Vaughn holding court near a floating sculpture of what appeared to be living light. The Navarran High Commissioner was an imposing figure, his shape-shifting form currently mimicking a tall, regal humanoid with swirling patterns across his skin. Taking a deep breath, Jake approached. High Commissioner Vaughn, it's an honor to finally meet you in person. Vaughn turned, his eyes narrowing slightly as he recognized Jake. Ah, young Morrison. I must admit, I was surprised when I heard of your appointment. How are you finding your new role? Jake plastered on his most charming smile. It's been an incredible experience. In fact, I was hoping to discuss some new initiatives with you. I believe there's untapped potential in human-Navaran cooperation. As Jake launched into an impassioned and largely improvised pitch about joint ventures and cultural exchange programs, he saw Xyra, in her servant disguise, slipping away towards the private quarters. Now he just had to keep Voron's attention for as long as possible. The minutes ticked by like hours as Jake fielded probing questions from Voron and other curious dignitaries. He drew on every scrap of knowledge he'd accumulated over the past months, spinning visions of a future where humans and aliens worked side by side for the betterment of the galaxy. Just as Jake was beginning to worry, how long could it possibly take to hack an alien computer? He felt a subtle vibration from the communication device hidden in his collar. The signal from Xyra. She had what they needed. Excusing himself from the conversation, Jake made his way to the pre-arranged meeting point, a quiet balcony overlooking the glittering expanse of the Navaran capital. Xyra was already there, back in her Zephyrian form, her expression grim. "Did you find it?" Jake asked, his heart racing. Xyra nodded, producing a small data crystal. "It's all here. Financial records, communications, even plans for future sabotage." Voron wasn't just trying to undermine the cosmic concordance. He was planning to frame you for its failure, discrediting humans in the eyes of the galactic community. Jake's blood ran cold. "We need to get this to the Council immediately." But as they turned to leave, they found their path blocked. High Commissioner Voron stood in the doorway, flanked by two burly guards. "I must commend you on your investigative skills," Voron said, his voice dripping with cold amusement. "It's almost a shame to have to eliminate such a promising young talent." Jake's mind raced. They were cornered, outnumbered, and Voron's guards were undoubtedly armed. But as he glanced at Xyra, seeing the determination in her eyes, he knew they couldn't give up. Too much was at stake. In that moment, facing down an alien conspiracy that threatened everything his uncle had worked for, Jake Morrison realized that he had finally found his purpose. With Xyra by his side and the fate of human-alien relations hanging in the balance, he prepared to make his stand. The fate of two worlds now rested on what would happen in the next few moments on this Navaran balcony. Diplomatic crisis. The standoff on the Navaran balcony lasted only moments, but to Jake, it felt like an eternity. His mind raced, searching for a way out of their predicament. Suddenly, inspiration struck, born from an unlikely mix of his artistic background and his crash course in alien technologies. "You know, Voron," Jake said, his voice steadier than he felt, "for a shapeshifter, you're remarkably predictable." Confusion flickered across Voron's face. "What are you babbling about, human?" Jake grinned, tapping a hidden control on his color-shifting formal wear. The garment blazed to life, emitting a kaleidoscope of rapidly changing colors and patterns. To the Navaran's shape-shifting eyes, hypersensitive to visual input, the effect was overwhelming. Voron and his guards staggered back, momentarily disoriented. It was all the opening Xyra needed. With lightning speed, she shifted into a gaseous form, enveloping their attackers in a disorienting fog. "Run!" she shouted, her voice echoing strangely in her gaseous state. Jake didn't need to be told twice. They raced through the gala, causing a commotion as they went. Alien dignitaries of all species turned to stare at the strange spectacle, a human in blindingly bright clothing, followed by a sentient fog. They barely made it to their ship, launching into the Navaran night sky with Voron's security forces in hot pursuit. As they broke atmosphere, Jake let out a breathless laugh. "I can't believe that worked," he panted. Xyra, back in her Zephyrian form, smiled. "Quick thinking with the outfit. I'm impressed." "Yeah, well, when you've had to distract angry landlords and dodge debt collectors, you pick up a few tricks," Jake quipped. Their moment of relief was short-lived. As they approached the first jump point that would take them back to Zephyria, alarms blared throughout the ship. "We're being hailed," Xyra said, her expression grim. "It's a Galactic Council peacekeeping force. They're ordering us to stand down." Jake's heart sank. Voron must have contacted them, accused us of theft or espionage. What do we do? Thyra asked, her hand hovering over the ship's controls. Jake took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. We comply, we have the evidence. Now we just need to make them listen. The next few hours were a blur of accusations, interrogations, and tense negotiations. Jake and Sarah found themselves in the heart of the Galactic Council's peacekeeping station, facing a panel of stern-faced representatives from various species. Mr. Morrison, a Volthorian member of the council, said, its gas-based form swirling with agitation, you stand accused of corporate espionage, theft of classified information, and actions detrimental to galactic peace. How do you plead? Jake stepped forward, his voice clear and confident. Members of the council, I plead not guilty. More than that, I come before you with evidence of a conspiracy that threatens not just the cosmic concordance, but the very foundation of human-alien relations. A murmur ran through the assembled council members. Jake nodded to Sarah, who presented the data crystal they'd obtained from Voron's quarters. This contains proof that High Commissioner Voron has been systematically sabotaging the cosmic concordance, with the intent of framing humanity for its failure, Jake continued. The next several hours were spent reviewing the evidence. Financial records were scrutinized, communications analyzed, and plans for future sabotage examined. As the depth of Voron's conspiracy became clear, the mood in the chamber shifted from skepticism to shock. But just as it seemed they were making headway, an aide burst into the chamber, their faces pale with worry. Councillors, the aide gasped, we're receiving reports of a massive buildup of Navaran forces near the Zephyrian border. They're claiming that Zephyria has launched an unprovoked attack on Navaran interests. The chamber erupted into chaos. Jake and Sarah exchanged horrified glances. Voron wasn't just trying to discredit them, he was pushing for open conflict. We need to contact Earth immediately, Jake said, his mind racing. If they hear about this from the wrong sources, it could lead to a full-scale war. The head councillor, a statuesque being made of living crystal, nodded gravely. Agreed. Mr. Morrison, as the highest-ranking human representative present, we ask that you make this communication. Jake swallowed hard, nodding. This was it, the moment that could determine the fate of human-alien relations for generations to come. As a communication link to Earth was established, Jake found himself face-to-face with a panel of grim-faced human officials. He recognized some of them from his briefings, top military brass, diplomats, even the Secretary General of the United Nations. Mr. Morrison, the Secretary General began, her voice tense. We're receiving alarming reports from our deep space monitoring stations. Can you explain what's happening out there? Jake took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. Madam Secretary General, distinguished representatives of Earth, I come before you with grave news, but also with hope. We have uncovered a conspiracy aimed at sabotaging human-alien relations. For the next hour, Jake laid out everything they had discovered, Voron's plot, the evidence they had gathered, and the current crisis unfolding on the Zephyrian border. He watched the human officials' expressions shift from skepticism to shock to determination. If we act now, Jake concluded, we can prevent a war and strengthen our position in the galactic community, but we need to present a united front. Humanity needs to show that we're ready to be full partners in interstellar affairs. There was a long moment of silence as the Earth officials conferred among themselves. Finally, the Secretary General spoke. Mr. Morrison, in light of this evidence and the current crisis, we are granting you provisional authority to act on behalf of Earth's interests in this matter. What do you propose? Jake felt the weight of two worlds on his shoulders, but he also felt a surge of determination. This was why his uncle had chosen him, not for his business acumen, but for his ability to bridge worlds. We need to call an emergency session of the full Galactic Council, Jake said. Earth, Zephyria, Navara, everyone needs to be there. We'll present our evidence, expose Voron's plot, and show that humanity and Zephyria stand united. The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. As Jake and Sarah worked to coordinate the emergency session, reports continued to come in of rising tensions near the Zephyrian border. Warships were mobilizing, planetary defense systems were going on high alert, and panic was spreading through the galactic community. Finally, the council chamber was full. Representatives from hundreds of worlds attended in person or via hologram. The tension in the room was palpable. As Jake stepped up to address the assembly, he caught Axura's eye. She gave him a small nod, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with encouragement. Taking a deep breath, Jake began to speak. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, representatives of Earth, Zephyria, Navara, and all worlds present, we stand at a crossroads. The choices we make here today will shape the future of our galactic community. As Jake presented that evidence and made his case for unity and cooperation, he could see the mood in the chamber shifting. Shock gave way to anger, then to determination. When he finished, there was a moment of profound silence. Then, one by one, representatives began to voice their support. Earth and Zephyria jointly called for Vaughn's arrest and an immediate de-escalation of military forces. Other worlds joined in, pledging to uphold the principles of galactic cooperation. In the face of overwhelming evidence and united opposition, Vaughn's supporters quickly crumbled. The Navaran delegation, looking shell-shocked, agreed to stand down their forces and submit to a full investigation. As the crisis subsided and the council chamber began to clear, Jake felt a wave of exhaustion wash over him. He had done it. He had prevented a war and safeguarded the future of human-alien relations. Celera approached, her patterns glowing with pride and something else, a warmth that made Jake's heart skip a beat. "You did it, Jake," she said softly. "You've changed the course of galactic history." Jake shook his head, smiling. "We did it. I couldn't have done any of this without you." As they stood there, in the heart of the Galactic Council chamber, Jake realized how far he had come from that struggling artist in New York. He had found his place in the universe, and it was grander and more exciting than he could have ever imagined. But as the adrenaline of the crisis faded, Jake knew that their work was far from over. They had averted war, but now came the harder task, building a lasting peace and ensuring that humanity took its place as a full partner in the galactic community. With Thasira by his side and the support of both Earth and Zephyria behind him, Jake Morrison prepared to face the challenges ahead, ready to paint a new future among the stars. A new era. In the months following the averted crisis, Jake found himself at the center of a whirlwind of activity. The exposure of Vaughn's conspiracy had sent shockwaves through the galactic community, leading to a series of reforms and initiatives aimed at strengthening interspecies cooperation. The Cosmic Concordance Corporation, under Jake and Thadira's joint leadership, became the flagship for this new era of collaboration. They worked tirelessly to implement new technologies, foster cultural exchange programs, and create opportunities for humans and aliens to work side by side. One crisp Zephyrian morning, Jake stood on the balcony of his office in the central nexus, gazing out at the glittering spires of the city. The view still took his breath away, but now it felt like home. Sura joined him, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with a warmth that Jake had come to cherish. "Thinking deep thoughts?" she asked, a hint of amusement in her voice. Jake smiled, turning to face her. "Just reflecting on how much has changed. A year ago, I was a starving artist in New York. Now I'm helping shape the future of interstellar relations. It's a lot to take in." Paxura nodded, her silver eyes studying him intently. "You've risen to the challenge admirably, Jake. Your uncle would be proud." A comfortable silence fell between them as they looked out over the city. In the distance, a new structure was taking shape, the Earth Embassy, a testament to humanity's growing role in galactic affairs. "We've got a busy day ahead," Vasura said finally. "The human delegation arrives in a few hours, and then we have the art exhibition opening tonight." Jake's eyes lit up at the mention of the exhibition. It had been his idea, a showcase of artwork from across the galaxy, including several of his own pieces inspired by his journey from Earth to Zephyria. "I still can't believe we pulled that off," Jake said. "An intergalactic art show. It's like something out of a dream." Slayer's patterns flickered with amusement. "Well, you are uniquely qualified to bridge the artistic gap between worlds. Though I'm still not sure I understand your fascination with that Earth beverage. What was it called? Coffee." Jake laughed. "Hey, don't knock it till you've tried it. I'm telling you, once we introduce coffee to the galactic market, it'll revolutionize interstellar trade." Their banter was interrupted by a soft chime. A holographic display materialized, showing the approach of a sleek spacecraft entering Zephyria's atmosphere. "That's them," Jake said, straightening his posture. "The first official human diplomatic delegation to Zephyria, ready to make some history." Teller's hand found his, giving it a gentle squeeze. "With you, always." The next few hours were a blur of formal greetings, tours, and negotiations. Jake watched with pride as the human diplomats, initially wide-eyed with wonder, quickly adapted to their alien surroundings. They asked insightful questions, offered thoughtful proposals, and generally comported themselves with a dignity that made Jake proud to be human. As the day wore on, Jake found moments to pull aside key members of the delegation, sharing insights and building personal connections. He was no longer just a businessman or a diplomat. He had become a bridge, helping both sides understand each other better. That evening, the grand exhibition hall of the Central Nexus was abuzz with excitement. Aliens and humans mingled, discussing the artworks on display with animated gestures and translator-assisted conversations. Jake's own paintings, a vibrant fusion of Earth techniques and alien themes, drew particular attention. As Jake circulated through the crowd, he overheard snippets of conversation that filled him with hope. "The human's use of color is fascinating. I never realized Earth art could be so complex. This piece reminds me of the nebulae in the Andromeda sector." He caught sight of Syra across the room, deep in conversation with the UN Secretary General. Their eyes met briefly, and Taxira's patterns pulsed in a way that Jake now recognized as pride and affection. Suddenly, a hush fell over the crowd. Jake turned to see the Galactic Council's head diplomat, the crystalline being known as Jorax, approaching him. "Jake Morrison," Jorax's voice resonated, "your efforts have not gone unnoticed. The Council has been most impressed with the strides made in human-alien relations under your guidance." Jake bowed slightly, a gesture he'd learned was respected across many cultures. "Thank you, Counselor. But the credit belongs to many, my team, the human diplomats, and all those who believe in the power of cooperation." Jorax's crystalline form shimmered, an indication of approval. "Indeed, and it is in that spirit that I come to you with a proposal. The Council believes it is time for Earth to have a more official role in galactic affairs." Jake's heart raced. "What exactly are you suggesting?" "We would like to formally invite Earth to join the Galactic Council as a full member world." The words hung in the air, their implications staggering. Full membership would give humanity a voice in shaping galactic policy, access to advanced technologies, and protection under interstellar law. Jake's mind whirled with the possibilities. He glanced at Tagira, who had made her way to his side. Her subtle nod confirmed that this was real and monumental. "Counselor," Jake said, his voice steady despite his inner turmoil, "I am honored by this offer. But as you know, I cannot make this decision alone. It must be presented to Earth's governments and people for consideration." Jorax inclined their crystalline head. "Of course, we will expect nothing less. Consider this the beginning of the formal invitation process. We look forward to Earth's response." As Jorax moved away, Jake felt the weight of the moment settle on him. This was why his uncle had chosen him, not just to run a company, but to help guide humanity into a new age of interstellar cooperation. Sarah's hand found his, her touch grounding him. "You've done it, Jake," she said softly. "You've opened the door for humanity to truly join the galactic community." Jake squeezed her hand, overwhelmed with emotion. "We've done it," he corrected. "I couldn't have achieved any of this without you." As they stood there, surrounded by the fruits of their labor, the art, the mingling diplomats, the promise of a brighter future, Jake felt a sense of completion. He had found his place in the universe, bridging worlds through art, diplomacy, and sheer human determination. The struggling artist from New York was gone, replaced by a man who could navigate alien cultures as easily as he could blend colors on a canvas. And at his side was Thyra, no longer just a political match, but a true partner in every sense. "So," Thyra said, a mischievous glint in her silver eyes, "what's our next grand adventure?" Jake grinned, pulling her close. "Oh, I have a few ideas. For starters, I still need to introduce you to the wonders of pizza." Sarah's bioluminescent patterns danced with laughter. "Always with the Earth foods. Very well, but then we're taking that vacation to the crystal moons of Althara Prime you promised." As they laughed together, making plans for a future that spanned galaxies, Jake knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity's journey among the stars was only just beginning, and he was honored to help guide the way. The exhibition hall buzzed with life around them, humans and aliens coming together, sharing ideas, building bonds. It was a microcosm of the future Jake envisioned, a future where the boundaries between worlds blurred and the universe became a canvas for cooperation and shared discovery. As the twin moons of Zephyria rose in the alien sky, casting their soft light over the glittering city, Jake Morrison, once a struggling artist, now a bridge between worlds, raised a glass with his alien wife to toast the dawn of a new era. The future, vast and bright as the star-studded cosmos above, beckoned with infinite possibilities, and Jake was ready to paint that future in colors the universe had never seen before.